going on, everybody? It's me again, Going to Blue Dude. And don't forget, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. I do videos every single day. By the way, tomorrow, Selection Sunday, I will be doing a live show as the brackets come out. Filling my brackets out, maybe doing a few predictions. So don't forget to check that out. Probably going to start around 3 o'clock and go through Selection Sunday. I'll give you updates on the exact time, but for right now, we're going for 3 o'clock. So big day today in college basketball. I'm going to talk about the bubble teams and the potential bubble stealers. First thing I want to talk about is Drake. They're 25-4, second in the Missouri Valley Conference, but they did lose to Loyola Chicago in the Missouri Valley Championship. But I still think they're in. The next conference is going to be the Mountain West. First up, Utah State. First in the Mountain West. They are 20-7. They are going to take on San Diego State in the championship game. Now, if they're not already in the brackets, then this could be a potential stealer. But right now, I have them in the bubble, probably in. Next up, Boise State out of the Mountain West. They're fourth in the Mountain West. They're 18-8, but they lost in the Mountain West quarterfinal. Don't forget about Colorado State. They finished third in the Mountain West. They're 18-6, and they lost in the Mountain West semifinal. Then you have Nevada in the Mountain West. They finished fifth. They're 16-10, but they lost in the Mountain West semifinal. The next conference, A10. There's some teams you got to keep an eye on. First up, St. Louis. They finished fourth in the A10. 14-6, but lost in the A10 semifinal. Then you have four teams that are kind of bunched up, fighting for a spot in the big dance. First up, Davidson. They're third in the A10. 13-8, but lost in the A10 semifinal. Dayton, they're fourth in the A10. 14-9. They lost in the A10 quarterfinal. George Mason, also fourth in the A10, 13-9, lost in the A10 quarterfinal. Finally, Richmond, they finished 8th in the A10, 13-8, but lost in the A10 semifinal. The next conference you got to look at is the AAC. First up, Memphis. They finished third in the AAC, 16-7, and they will be playing Houston in the AAC championship game. So, if the committee doesn't have them in, they could be a bubble stealer. Then you have SMU. They finished fourth in the AAC, 11-5, but lost in the AAC quarterfinal. Only one team in the SEC that could be a bubble team, and that's Ole Miss. They finished fifth in the SEC, 16-11, but lost in the SEC quarterfinal. Then there's the Big East. That conference is a mess. First up, Seton Hall, fourth in the Big East, 14-13. That's not a great record. And they lost in the Big East semifinal. They need a lot of help to get in. Then there's Xavier. They finished sixth in the Big East, 13-8, lost in the Big East first round. They also need help. Then there's St. John's, also fourth in the Big East, 16-11, lost in the Big East quarterfinal. Another team that needs help. UConn, they finished third in the Big East, 15-7, but lost in the Big East semifinal. But UConn could definitely still get in. Next up, the Sun Belt. They have a couple of teams that are bubble teams. First up, Georgia State. Their record is 16-6. They were first in the Sun Belt East. And then there's Texas Tech. They were first in the Sun Belt West. They lost in the Sun Belt quarterfinal. Still a bubble team. Conference USA has some bubble teams that are trying to get in. First up, Louisiana Tech. They finished first in Conference USA West, 21-7, but lost in Conference USA semifinal. UAB, also first in Conference USA West. They were 22-7, and they lost in Conference USA semifinal. 16-9, and they will be playing Western Kentucky Conference USA Championship game. I have Western Kentucky in, so if North Texas can win that game, they could actually steal a bubble spot. Then we jump over to the ACC, and yes, I still have Duke as a bubble team, barely hanging on. If they got a lot of help, they could still get in. They finished 10th in the ACC, 13-11, and they ended up forfeiting in the ACC quarterfinal. But to go along with them is NC State. They finished 9th in the ACC, 13-10, but lost in the ACC second round. They need a ton of help. Also, Louisville, they finished 7th in the ACC. They're 13-7, but they lost in the ACC second round. Not good. Syracuse finished 8th in the ACC, 16-9. They lost in the quarterfinals of the ACC. In the Pac-12, we have UCLA. They finished 4th in the Pac-12, 19-9, but lost in the Pac-12 quarterfinals. Then in the Big Ten, Michigan State. They finished 8th in the Big Ten, 15-12, but lost in the Big Ten second round against Maryland. That might have knocked them out and put Maryland in. Speaking of which, Maryland, they finished 8th in the Big Ten, 16-3, but they lost in the Big Ten quarterfinal. Rutgers, they finished 6th in the Big Ten, 15-11, lost in the Big Ten quarterfinal. So here are the potential bid stealers. Well, first, a few have actually happened. First one, App State, 17-11. They won the Sun Belt. The next one, Morehead State, 23-7. They won the Ohio Valley, beating Belmont, and I have Belmont in. Then the other five that are not in yet but could get in. Ohio, they're 15-7. And they're in the MAC championship. Cincinnati, they're 11-10, and they're in the AAC semifinal. Georgetown, 12-12. they're in the Big East Championship. Oregon State, 16-12, they're in the Pac-12 Championship. Then Buffalo, 16-7, and they're in the MAC Championship. Because I have Toledo in, Toledo lost, so Buffalo could steal that automatic bid. And actually, it's going to be between Buffalo and Ohio. So there is a spot that will be stolen between Buffalo and Ohio. Keep your eyes on that game. Don't forget, I have a live show tomorrow for Selection Sunday. It's going to be live as the brackets come out. I'll be filling out my brackets, maybe doing some predictions, so keep your eyes out for that. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on my next show.